Hello, I'm attorney Paul Whalen from Afford Law. At Afford Law, we practice criminal and family law throughout Massachusetts. Our fees are all based on your salary, so that means the less you make, the less you have to pay. Today, we're going to be discussing a split sentence in a Massachusetts criminal case. What is a split sentence? Well, if you have a criminal case in Massachusetts and that case results in anything other than a dismissal or a not guilty, there will be a sentencing portion to that case. So if you take it to trial and you're found guilty, the judge will then sentence you to some sort of consequence as a result of the guilty finding. And if you plea out to the case, you'll be getting, could be a quaff, it could be a guilty, whatever it might be. The second part of that is the sentence itself. Now, a sentence can be anything from, say, pretrial probation, which is probably the lowest, the least amount of harm and intrusion upon your life, to up to and including committed time in jail, incarceration. And there are a lot of stops in between. So there's the pretrial probation, there's filed without a change of plea, there's a quaff, there's guilty probation and suspended sentence and committed time. A split sentence is when they sort of split those two. So the judge sentences you to a time in prison, and he or she splits that between time you actually have to serve and time that you would be on probation. So that's why it's called a split sentence. So as an example, let's say you take your case to trial and are found guilty, and the judge imposes a 2-year sentence, 1 year of which is to be served at the House of Correction, and the other year will be suspended. So that you'll hear that called the balance suspended for a period of time, let's say 2 years. So that means for 2 years, you'll be on probation and you have that 1 year House of Correction sentence hanging over your head. So it's suspended over your head. So what happens in that case, in that example, you would be incarcerated for that year. And then when you get out, you'll be on probation for an additional 2 years. So it's not the full sentence isn't imposed as far as being sentenced to a jail term. You get part of a jail term and part of probation. Now, keep in mind, as we've discussed before, the importance of a suspended sentence. Now, as I said before, there are different outcomes that can result from your criminal case, and those outcomes, from best to worst, start with the dismissal and end up with committed time. You could get probation, which is straight probation, or suspended sentence, which is a worse, for us, from our point of view, a worse outcome. The big difference between a straight probation and a suspended sentence is that with a suspended sentence, if in our example you have 1 year suspended, that means if you get into any trouble within that probationary period, in our example for the 2 years, let's say you get rearrested on a new charge, or let's say that you have conditions of probation that you do not fulfill. You're either supposed to go to a class you don't go to, or you're supposed to stay away from a person or from drugs or alcohol, and you go near that person or test positive, then you can be brought in as a probation violator. If they present you before a judge at a violation hearing, if the judge wants to give you any time at all, he or she has to give you that 1 year of suspended time. With straight probation, the judge can give you a day, a month, 6 months, anything else. They have a great deal of discretion. With a suspended sentence, they can only give you the amount of time that you have suspended. Now, a judge doesn't have to give you any time at all. So if you're brought in as a probation violator, and even if a violation is found, the judge isn't required to sentence you to that 1 year. The judge can reprobate you on the same conditions, could add conditions, could extend your probation, could do any number of things, but he or she does not have to send you to jail. However, if they are going to send you to jail, they can only send you for that period of the suspended time. So that's what really gives the suspended sentence a lot more teeth, a lot more muscle. Generally, we don't want our clients to have suspended sentences if they can have a straight probation for that exact reason. So that's what a suspended sentence is. It's not the best thing. Obviously, it's not the best outcome, but given facts and circumstances of any particular case, a suspended sentence is better than a longer jail term for the most part, as long as you can do well on probation. Because if you don't do well on probation, basically you're going to find yourself back inside jail, serving the remainder of that sentence. And of course, when you're serving a sentence, depending on the charge, for the most part, you don't serve the full sentence. You get good time, and you're eligible for parole, and generally about half the time of the incarcerated period. But we want to keep you out of jail as much as possible. So watch out for the suspended sentences. They can be good, but it's a bitter pill to swallow for most folks. As I say, at Afford Law, we practice criminal and family law, and we do that throughout Massachusetts. Our whole reason for being is we want to give voice in the courtroom to the hardworking men and women of Massachusetts. That's why we base our fees on your income. And that means that we use a sliding scale. And what that means is that the less you make, the less income you have, the less you'll have to pay for our services. We're trying to do as much as we can to give people access to justice who deserve it. Feel free to visit us at affordlaw.org. We have a lot of information and resources for you there. And while you're there, please feel free to book a free, confidential virtual appointment with me. I would be happy to answer any questions you have about your specific case or your specific situation on any family law or criminal law matter in Massachusetts. At Afford Law, we're making justice affordable. Thank you.